Welcome everyone. If you don't know me already, my name is Kelly. I own Dogkind. I specialize in confidence building for very fearful, feral, shutdown dogs. And today we're talking about pet sitters and how can we travel if we have a dog who is pretty afraid of everything, afraid of people, and it can be hard to find a way for them to be cared for while you're away. Yes, you can travel, leaving your profoundly fearful dog. Who is this for? This is for you if you have a dog who's afraid of everything and you want to travel or you need to travel, maybe to take care of family or for work, and you really have no idea how a pet sitter could care for your sensitive dog. Okay, so how can I leave my dog with a sitter? Here is a really brief overview of sort of the big picture. I talk about this in an earlier video and blog, and I'll link to that when I get this up in the blog. But in general, sort of big picture again, plan way ahead, find a sitter, teach your dog a sitter-friendly routine, document it thoroughly, and then practice it with the sitter. It's kind of the high-level step-by-step. Now, a question I often get is, how far ahead do I need to start preparing? And ideally, months, if you have them, months ahead of your trip would be best. I know you can't always do that, but that would be my preference. Weeks, you can make it work with weeks rather than months, but it might be a bit of a crunch. And now why? Why does it take so long? Well, you have to find a sitter who is qualified to work with your very sensitive dog. And for that, again, I covered this in an earlier video and blog, but you can check out the Fear Free directory. They do have a pet sitter certification. You may also talk to a local positive reinforcement trainer. A lot of times they'll know who is local, who is skilled at caring for fearful dogs. So you have to find a sitter, which may take some time. You have to choose or plan what you think is going to be a pet sitter friendly routine for your dog. Then you have to teach your dog the routine before the pet sitter's in the picture. Document it super thoroughly. Then you have to teach your sitter the routine. And then you're going to want to have some practice time for your sitter to do the routine with your dog while you're still there to help out. So what do I mean by choosing sitter-friendly routines? The reason I wanted to talk about this today is because it's a little different from what most people think to do or are told to do when they're trying to get their sensitive dog ready to be cared for by a pet sitter. Usually people say, well, I'm starting way ahead and I'm going to have the pet sitter come over a bunch of times so my dog gets used to them. But for our really sensitive dogs, usually something that's sort of that vague is not going to be good enough for them. We need something more specific than hoping our dogs just quote unquote get used to the sitter. So really you can think of this as you're developing a teaching or training plan, not just for your dog, but for the pet sitter. A sitter-friendly routine will include at minimum the where and how to feed, medicate, and get your dog access to wherever it is they eliminate, whether it be outside or inside. And each piece of the pet sitter friendly routine needs to be safe for the pet sitter. So if you have a dog who has a history of aggression or biting people, that needs to be taken into account. And you're also going for whatever is least scary for your dog. Your dog may not be 100% happy with a pet sitter. And, sometimes that's just the way it goes. Unfortunately, you can't put off leaving home forever, but you're going to do the best you can to get your dog as comfortable as possible with the routine and with the pet sitter. So I thought it might be helpful to give a couple examples with Pancake of planning out a pet sitter friendly piece of the routine, meal delivery. And then what did that mean at different times in Pancake's sort of behavioral evolution from being very scared to a little bit less scared. So pet sitter friendly meal delivery, for most of these really sensitive dogs, ideally will involve not having the pet sitter have to go right up to the dog to deliver food. That's going to be intimidating for a lot of our sensitive dogs. Giving the dog personal space, so going away and not watching them eat. And no interventions required during mealtime. And what I mean by that is if you find yourself thinking as you're making this plan, oh, if this happens, you're going to have to do this, probably you need to adjust the plan so there aren't any sort of contingencies needed like that. You don't want the pet sitter to have to do something that's going to freak out your dog. Pancake example, in the early days, he was afraid of just about everybody, including me. But he did become, within the first few months, somewhat comfortable with me, or at least not completely terrified, if I walked up to his safe space, put food down, and left. So he usually ate in his safe space. I would walk up to him, put food down, and then walk away. But with a stranger, I knew that was going to be way too scary. Okay, so here is Pancake's sort of quote-unquote normal meal delivery, not pet sitter friendly, in his relatively early days. So that was not at the very beginning. He would just run away if I entered the room. But so here he had progressed to the point where he didn't feel the need to run away all the time. He wasn't 100% comfortable with me approaching like that, but it worked well enough for us. But there was no way that was going to be okay with a pet sitter. So what did we try? What would be an option? If you have a dog like this, what could you do? Pancake has, and you'll see it in a second in the next video, that his safe space had a sliding glass door on one wall and a dog door installed, so he could go outside into the side yard when he wanted to. And some options then for delivering food to Pancake without approaching him and scaring him could be either going out through another door, the back door of the house, walking around to the side yard and putting food there in the side yard and then moving away, so Pancake could then exit to the side yard when he could see that the suspicious human had left. Or you could wait, if you could kind of watch surreptitiously from the kitchen or something, when Pancake went outside to pee or whatever, then you could have the food ready and quickly go in and place it in a safe space when he wasn't in there. So this is something that, this is a short video of me doing this myself before the pet sitter needed to do it. You'll see some happy body language, kind of. I mean, you'll see some tail wags when he sees I'm bringing food. He's not brave enough to come out with me, but that's okay. This is something, though, he had to learn. He had to learn this sequence. Like I walk and put things down here, and then food is there, before I asked anyone else to do it. And you see here, I think I must have started to come back or made a noise. He ran out and then ran back inside again. So it is something that, essentially I had to train with him first. So remember, you need to practice whatever scenario you're going to use for your pet sitter. You really need to get your dog dialed in with it, like have that be their normal before you bring the pet sitter in. Because when you're gone and there's a pet sitter there, there's going to be enough sort of disruption to their routine. Okay, so that's one example. Another example that's more recent is modern day Pancake, who is less fearful, but still does not like strangers. And remember, pet sitter friendly meal delivery, we want the pet sitter to not have to approach the dog, to be able to give the dog personal space to eat, and have no interventions required. So normally, Pancake right now eats in the kitchen right next to where I prep the food, and then I just give the food to him and I'm right next to him. But for a pet sitter that's way too close, like it's the eating location is too close to the prep area, and because I have another dog and Pancake, sometimes he's blind now, and he sometimes kind of hops along smelling food and blunders into, or tries to anyway, blunder into Juno's, my other dog's food. There's some potential for a fight, right, over food. And if I see Pancake heading in Juno's direction when she's eating, I can just call him away, but there's no way a pet sitter could do that. So that's an intervention that I need to not be necessary if a pet sitter is taking care of Pancake. Here is, just for a quick visual, I couldn't find video that would show this well, but where Pancake is in this photo is where he normally eats breakfast, or all his meals actually. And where that person is standing, that's not me, but that's where I prep the dog meals, and then I just plop his bowl down with all his morning supplements and things right onto that mat where he's lying down. So, what was Pancake's Mealtime for Pet Sitter version 2? And I have to admit, this is something that I have not done a great job of preparing and practicing ahead of time. And I paid for it, and Pancake paid for it a little bit in my most recent absence. So, we've done this a little, but I'm going to be working on this much more before I leave again on my next trip. So, placing food in the laundry room when Pancake is not in there, which is not a problem because you could close the door first and then put the food down, but he doesn't like hang out in the laundry room that often. Close the gate and then go away and let him come into that area while he's ready. With that gate closed, that keeps Pancake from getting into Juno's food, and it also keeps Juno from stealing Pancake's food. So that eliminates the need for a pet sitter to try to like block the dogs from getting to each other's food, which would not go well with Pancake. So feed the other dog in the living room, and then I need to be practicing these more so this becomes the norm, at least in the week or two heading up to my next absence. So that when it's breakfast time, instead of right now, he runs to his kitchen mat, I want him to run to his laundry room mat, and that's where food's going to happen. I couldn't find a great photo of this either, but this gives you kind of an idea. This photo is taken from the laundry room, and you can see into the kitchen where there's another dog there, and you can see there's separation. So that's an important piece of this in my house for pet sitters. Okay, and then once you have this plan, you figured out, okay, where, and this was just the mealtime example, you're going to want plans for medicating and for sort of potty time also. You want to document this really thoroughly, and most of us do a pretty good job, especially those of us who are neurotic dog parents, of writing out very detailed step-by-step instructions. But do make sure, in addition to including what to do, add notes about what to avoid. For instance, something I failed to include in my most recent set of instructions, for Juno actually, not Pancake, was that if you put her food down or put her meds down and then stand there and watch her, she gets kind of uncomfortable and often she won't eat. She'll just walk away. And so I had to check in with my mother-in-law and be like, oh yeah, you can't watch her. You need to put the food down and like go away and ignore her for a while. She needs her personal space for eating. So what to do, but also what not to do. I think that videoing you doing the routine could be very helpful in early training of a pet sitter as you teach them the routine so that you can watch it together and you can talk them through it before they try it. After you practice with your dog for at least a week or two, so it's sort of your dog's new normal, then you can bring in the pet sitter and have them practice. You'll want to explain what you're doing and also make sure to explain why you're doing it. We humans really need to know why, or else we might cut corners and be like, well, that's dumb. There's no reason for that. I'm going to do it this way because it's faster. So make sure it's clear why you're asking them to do things that might not be intuitive to them. Explain the what and why, demo it for them that you made earlier, and then practice with you watching, give them feedback, have them practice again. It's the same thing. You're teaching them new skills just the same way you're teaching your dog. And you need the same kind of repetition and positive reinforcement and patience that you would teaching your dog. Okay, so your action steps, if you are getting ready to prepare for pet sitters, is to first find a pet sitter, and that is going to take some time. Again, check the Fear Free directory, ask your local positive reinforcement trainers. Figure out what you think are the best pet sitter friendly routines for your dog. And a lot of times for our very sensitive dogs, that's going to mean minimal contact, nothing intrusive, right? The person can sort of put stuff down and go away, and your dog can do their thing. Teach your dog these pet sitter friendly routines, document them, and then bring the sitter in and practice with the sitter. If you don't already have the free worksheet, Make Your Fearful Dog Happier, you can grab it at dogkindtraining.com/happy. And we'll be back next week with another topic.